Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and we've got another Stamina Sorcerer build for you guys from the Firesong chapter. I really like this build. I really enjoyed using this today and yesterday. I think this build has been an absolute blast, and I think that you guys are going to enjoy this too. It has been so much fun to be able to have damage, tankiness, and healing all in one, especially in a Sorcerer build. I feel like that's rare nowadays. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed. If you do, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know. Guys, that's it from me. Let's just get on with the video, all right? Alright guys, let's get started. First things first, we're going to look at our character sheet. We're going to be an Imperial on our StamSorc. I'm liking Imperial a lot for the reduced cost passive on all of my abilities, but to be honest, if you don't have Imperial, I think Khajiit would be without a doubt the best race to use on this class. I definitely think that that is the best way to go. If not, Orc is a good option, and even Wood Elf, but I would go Imperial first, Khajiit second, and then I will go with the other ones next. Our attributes are going to be 5 points into health and then 59 points into stamina to give us a nice health pool of 31.8k and then a max stam pool of 23.9k, which if that OCD is messing with you, I completely understand. Just put 4 points into health and 60 points into stamina to get that nice 24k mark. Our Mundus Stone is going to be the Shadow to increase our critical and damage and our healing by 14%. Our food is going to be Orzorga Smoked Bear Haunch, as always. It is my favorite food in the game right now. It gives us that max health, and then it also gives us that stamina magic recovery. If you can afford this, because it is very expensive, just use the Jewels of Misrule food. You only lose a little bit of stats. It's really not that necessary. And then, as always, we're going to be a Vampire Stage 3 to get that Undeath passive. Undeath is the lower health you have, the less damage you take. So it is really good for when you're in execute range. It makes you a lot more tanky. So I really like Vampire Stage 3 for this. As far as our gear goes, our mythic on this build is we're going to be using Gaze of Sithis. I just got this one recently, and honestly, I really like it on StamSorc. It really helps out a lot. What this does is it gives you max health recovery, which I don't really care about at all. It gives you 4,000 armor, and then also reduces your block mitigation to 0. So that's the only unfortunate part about this. But honestly, with the block bug, this patch, it really doesn't hurt you at all. So I like the extra little bit of armor, the extra little bit of health. I think it's a lot of fun, and this build really shines because of this. So we're going to be using Gaze of Sithis and the Reinforced trait. And then our one shoulder piece, we only can fit one monster piece on this. We're going to be using a Balorg one, and it's going to be medium, and it's going to be in the Divine's trait. The reason why we're doing Balorg is because it's going to increase our weapon and spell damage by 129. If you want to go with more crit, use Slime Craw or something, but personally, I like getting that little bit of extra weapon and spell damage. One of our two 5-piece sets on this is going to be Heavy Order's Wrath in Reinforced for our chest piece. Order's Wrath is going to give us 2 separate lines of 641 crit chance, a line of weapon and spell damage, and then another line of 921 crit chance. And then the 5-piece is going to give you an increase in your critical damage and critical healing by 8%. So that is absolutely massive. That is so much crit on this build, and I really like it. This has been one of my favorite sets this patch. I think it's definitely worth using. Our belt is going to be a medium Order's Wrath in Divines. Our hands are going to be medium Order's Wrath in Divines as well. Our legs are going to be heavy Order's Wrath in Reinforced. And our feet are going to be medium Order's Wrath in Divines. And as you can see, we're going to be using prismatic enchants on all of our body pieces. Our jewelry is going to be, all 3 are going to be Rallying Cry. All are going to be gold because I kind of decided to put out a little bit of gold on this build, and I really like it. All of them are going to have weapon damage enchants on it, and all of them are going to be in the Bloodthirsty trait. I've recently started using Bloodthirsty, and I really like it a lot. It increases your damage a lot. You lose a little bit of healing because of it, because you don't get that infused damage. But honestly, I really like this. The damage that you get is actually really nuts. So let's go over Rallying Cry real quick. The 2-piece is going to give you another line of crit chance. 3-piece is max magic. 4-piece is crit chance. And then while your Battle Spirit is active, which is when you're in Cyrodiil, a battleground, Imperial City, or a duel, you're going to, if you critically heal yourself or an ally, you're going to gain 300 weapon and spell damage, and then 1650 critical resistance for 20 seconds. And then also, the more people you have in the group, the less the effect is. And this always can be reapplied. So I really like this because you could just keep that up at all times. Critting your heals on this build is super easy, trust me. So this is basically up all the time. I really like it. It is a great way to stay tanky and then build all of your body pieces into divines like I have done to increase our Mundus Stone to give us even more crit damage. I really like it. Our front bar weapon is going to be Master's Dual Wield Perfected Axes. Our main hand is going to be Nirnhoned. Our offhand is going to be Sharpened with physical damage glyphs on them. What Master's Perfected Axes do is the Perfected line gives you another line of crit chance. And then the actual two-piece is Twin Slashes deal 1635 more damage for each hit of the initial attack and also the bleed. So it makes your Twin Slash ability really hit hard. I really like it. And then back bar is going to be Rallying Cry Ice Staff in defending. The reason why we're using Ice Staff is because you get defensive bonuses for it. And then defending on top of that as our trait is going to add on top of that even more. And it's just going to give you a lot of defense for your back bar. Onto our skills. Our front bar skills are going to be Blood Craze. This is going to be what is buffed by your Master's Dual Wield. So this is going to be a dot on your enemy, but also the initial hit really hits hard with your Masters up. So definitely don't sleep on this as your main spammable. I really like it. And then also you're going to be healing for each tick of the damage too. So it is a great way to sustain your healing as well. Camo Hunter, the reason why we're using this is because while it's slotted, you're going to gain Major Savagery and Prophecy, increasing your weapon and spell crit by 26-29. So we're building a lot into crit on this build, and I really like this. Then another one of our main spammables is going to be Crystal Weapon. If you line this up so that you hit your Crystal Weapon and then your Blood Craze and just keep on going back and forth, then you mix a Dawnbreaker in the mix and then a Whirling Blade, you will definitely secure those kills. You're hitting like a truck on this build. I love it so much. And then Whirling Blades is going to be our Execute. Don't use this until they're at low health. That way you can actually secure the kill. And if somebody starts roll dodging, this goes through roll dodge. So honestly, it is a great way to secure those kills, especially for the people that start panicking and roll dodge spamming. It is a great way to just really finish that kill off. And then Streak is going to be our last skill on our front bar. This is going to be a way to either A, stun your enemies, or B, get out of that situation and kind of regroup. So it is really nice to kind of get a skill to be able to, let you control the fight at your own pace. And then our ultimate, our front bar is going to be Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is a good old reliable on any build lately. It is cheap on this one because we are on an Imperial, so the ultimate cost is only 110, so it's nice and cheap. I love it, and it does a lot of damage. I've hit some really high number Dawnbreakers on this build because we're critting a lot. Our back bar is going to be, let's go over our ultimate first because we're already here. I'm going to use Summon Charge Atronach on it. I know that a lot of people run the Temporal Guard to get that minor protection, but honestly, I really like this just for the pure fact of I like to switch it up and not only use Dawnbreaker all the time. This hits really hard, and it's a nice little AoE, and if you put that in a small area too, it's going to hit really hard, and on top of that, it stuns anybody there, and it's just a really good thing to just be able to kite around if you're taking too much pressure. It's another thing to just soak up a lot of damage, so I really like it personally. Then on our back bar skills, we're going to be using Crit Surge. This is going to be your source of major brutality and sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 33 seconds. Then also, while active, dealing critical damage heals you for 96 health, and it can occur once every 1 second. And honestly, that is so much healing that you get all the time. You're critting non-stop on this build, so it is a great way to just keep your health up all the time, because that is really going to be working on our next skill that we're going to be going over. It's Hurricane. It's going to be your source of major resolve and minor expedition, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 6k, and it's going to increase your movement speed by 15% as well, and it's going to put a little AoE around you, and it's going to be critting a lot because your crit chance is really high. So every time Hurricane crits, you heal yourself because of Crit Surge. Honestly, the amount of healing that you get from these two is actually nuts and bonkers. I love it. Resolving Vigor, this is going to be your main heal over time on this build. This is a nice little 5-second heal, and then on top of that, you're also getting Minor Resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds as well. So with these three, you're healing a lot, dude. And then Dark Deal is going to be your last kind of heal on this build. This is going to be a great way to convert your magic into stamina and health. I wouldn't suggest using this unless you are CC immune. If somebody CCs you, try and get into the habit of hitting this ability right afterwards because they can't interrupt it. If you do not have CC immunity, they can interrupt it and you can't cast a skill for 2 seconds, and honestly, you can kind of get punished for that. So try and be smart about when you use this, but honestly, it is a great way to keep your sustain up. Your stamina recovery is pretty low on this build because that's just how StamSorcs work. So try and keep that in mind at all times, and honestly, you will never run out of resources if you use this correctly. And then our last ability on our back bar is going to be Ellie Susceptibility. If you put this on an enemy, you're going to be getting Major Breach on them, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k. And then every 6 seconds while this ability persists, the enemy is afflicted with all three, the Burning, Chilled, and Concussion status effects. So honestly, that is just so much extra damage that you get to put on an enemy for just a basically free ability. I love it. It is amazing. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just so good that the amount of damage that you can put on an enemy because of this is actually crazy. And then finally, our champion points. Our blue slottables are going to be Focus Mending, Fighting Finesse because we're just building into that crit as much as possible, Master at Arms, and Ironclad. Our red slottables are Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Celerity. And Green Tree, the only ones that we really care about too much are Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, and Breakfall. Alright guys, that is the build. I really hope you guys enjoy. I think this build has been so much fun. This build has been absolutely just a blast to use. I definitely recommend trying it out. If you haven't tried anything StamSorc related, I think that this is a build for this patch that will really be something that you enjoy. It's been a blast to be able to use this, and I'm definitely going to be using this more a lot throughout this patch. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see this build live in action or any of the other builds I come up with, I stream 5 days a week over at twitch.tv/Sekaar. The link will be in the description. Come by, follow, let me know that you came from YouTube, and that'll be dope. I really appreciate that. But guys, that's it from me. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.